2025 regular meeting of the Union County Board of Commissioners to order. At this time, I would like to recognize Commissioner Balcom to do the invocation.
If you will, bow your heads, please. Lord, we come before you this evening, just thankful for this great place we call home. Lord, we just ask for your wisdom and your discernment as we carry out the business of the county. Lord, we just thank you for our many blessings. We know that every good and perfect gift comes from you, and Lord, we are truly blessed. So we just ask you to lead, guide, direct us in your will. And Lord, that our conduct and our conversation to one another will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Will please stand for the invocation? The Pledge of Allegiance. The next item on the agenda is informal comments from the community. We do have several signed up tonight. We will recognize the speakers. They must address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by giving their name, stating whether they are residents of Union County, indicating the municipality within which they reside, if any. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make remarks. A tone will sound at the conclusion of the remarks. A speaker may not yield his or her time to another speaker. Speakers may not discuss matters which are the subject of public hearings, and they must be courteous in their language and presentation. Restatements or repetitive comments by the same speaker, whether at the same or separate meetings, may be ruled out of order and terminated by the chair. Personal attacks will not be tolerated, and speakers may leave written or supporting documents, if any, with the clerk to the board. Okay. The first person who signed up is Harold Wallace, Jr.
Good evening, members of Union County Board of Commissioners. My name is Mr. Harold Wallace, Jr., and I'm a resident of the city of Monroe. I'm here to address retaliation, workplace safety, and fair employment practices within Union County Public Works. My purpose today is not simply to speak about being terminated. My purpose is to bring awareness to a pattern of unfair treatment that affects employees who lack voice or representation. Every employee deserves dignity, fairness, and the right to speak up without fear of retaliation. In my case, the county failed to follow Article 8, which calls for sound and considerate judgment by leadership. When an employee is under stress or dealing with unsafe conditions, the response should be fair and support, not discipline. On September 16, 2024, I attended a doctor's appointment due to extreme stress from a hostile work environment. I notified my supervisor on September 13th and made it clear I would still attend a contractor's meeting after my appointment. HR confirmed my health came first, yet I was written up despite following procedure. On November 25th, 2024, I responded to an emergency with a malfunctioning turbidity meter that was spewing water and risking system failure. I notified operations, contacted the manufacturer, and worked several hours to stabilize the issue. After preventing alarms and protecting operations, I informed my supervisor, only to be written up again. These actions reflect a deeper issue, a failure of leadership to apply fairness and sound judgment, creating a retaliatory environment that ultimately cost me my job. I want to emphasize that this is not an attack on any individual. Many members of this board come from the same community I do, graduates of Piedmont High School, members of Lee Park, and churches in Indian Trail. We share roots, value, and faith. That is why I believe we all care about justice and doing right by the people of Union County. Today, I respectfully ask that my employment record be reviewed and cleared, and that the county examines its internal processes to ensure that employees, especially those from underrepresented unrepresented communities are treated with dignity and respect. In closing, the ecclesia does not house God. God resides in us, the people. And when the people stand, speak, and pursue justice, God moves through them. Real intelligence adapts to change while rejecting backward thinking. Union County, it's time we move forward together with wisdom, accountability, and light. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration.
The next speaker is Amy Brantley.
My name is Amy Brantley. I live here in Union County in Waxhaw. Both of my children attend Cuthbertson, and I work at Kensington Elementary. I'm here tonight to voice my strong and unwavering support for my children's teachers, your children's teachers, my colleagues, and myself. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm deeply concerned about the lack of transparency between the Board of County Commissioners and the Board of Education regarding education funding, especially the unresolved $2,000 stipend. Our educators deserve clarity, honesty, and real solutions. No one becomes a teacher to earn a big paycheck. Teachers chose this profession because they want to make a difference in the lives of children and in their community. For years, teachers relied on a steady pay scale to support their families, but with rising costs and no meaningful raise, many are struggling more than ever. Right now, teachers in Union County are working second and third jobs. Teachers, highly educated professionals, are donating plasma to afford basic needs for their own families. Many cannot afford to live on their own and are forced to take on roommates or move back home with their families. Veteran teachers are still paying off student loans decades into their careers. This is not acceptable for a county like ours. Yes, the state has not passed the budget, but you, the Board of County Commissioners, can act. You can show genuine support for educators by providing the remaining $1,000 of the stipend and by making teacher compensation a priority, not a temporary patch. Why hasn't the Board of County Commissioners made a specific effort to raise Union County teachers' supplement, knowing the cost of living has skyrocketed and teachers have not received a state raise in 2 years? Union County is the 6th largest county in North Carolina, yet we rank 37 in local supplement funding. And despite this, our teachers have worked tirelessly to make Union County #1 in the state. Families move here because of the exceptional quality of schools and the educators who make that possible. So I ask you, how do you expect UCPS to retain and recruit highly qualified teachers while offering compensation that falls so far below? What concrete steps are you taking, both locally and at the state level, to ensure Union County can keep educators who make us #1? County commissioners are elected to represent their community. Taxpayers expect accountability, transparency, and responsible stewardship of public resources. A week ago, I reached out to all of you, commissioners, to discuss these concerns. Only one of you responded to me. Commissioner Helms, thank you for taking the time to reply and for meeting with us. I appreciate your willingness to have a real productive conversation about how we can make Union County better for our children. They deserve our very best, and that starts with putting them first by supporting the teachers who serve them every day. Thank you.
The next speaker is Alexis Stadler.
Good evening, County Commissioners. My name is Alexis Stadler, and I reside in Waxhaw, North Carolina, and I'm here to discuss the UCPS budget request for the 2025-2026 school year. Over the last several weeks, Union County residents have watched the blame game play out between our Board of County Commissioners and our Board of Education. We've seen curated statements from both sides and watched board meetings where each side is blaming the other for a lack of transparency and accountability when it comes to the gap in the UCPS budget this year. However, 3 of the people currently sitting on this Board of Commissioners serve multiple terms on the Board of Education. At the last County Commissioners meeting, it was stated by Chairwoman Merrill that the Board of Education was responsible for requesting a tax rate increase to fund the budget deficit they were facing. Based on comments made at the November 6th Board of Education meeting, school board members were unaware that this is something that they were supposed to be doing, let alone something they were able to do in their capacity as a school board. However, Chairwoman Merrill, Commissioner Sides, and Commissioner Helms all sat on the Board of Education and should be well-versed in the policies that affect both sides of this communication issue. Why were our county commissioners not willing to assist our Board of Education in ensuring that they did everything in their power to rectify the gap in the UCPS funding request? I know, it's because the commissioners sitting on this board do not value public education. It should come as no surprise to anyone that Chairwoman Merrill cares very little about public education. Her time on the Board of Education was always just a stepping stone for her to gain higher political office, as she has consistently gone against the best interests of students and staff by teaming up with politicians like Mark Robinson, who wants to ban books and create reporting systems to prosecute teachers for simply doing their jobs. And now Chairwoman Merrill has her sights set on national politics as she buddies up to Mark Harris, our congressional representative, who is hell-bent on gutting the federal Department of Education and removing even more supports for staff and students. Why is someone who states they are committed to public education doing everything in their power to destroy it? I am no longer a Union County Public Schools employee afraid to speak up for fear of retaliation. This entire Board of Commissioners and our school board's lack of commitment to retaining qualified teachers and school employees so that our students can continue to learn from and be supported by the best educators in the state is why I have decided to run for UCPS School Board in 2026. We should be able to rely on our elected officials to support public education, not destroy it from the inside. Do better.
The next speaker is Gina Guerrero.
Good evening. My name is Gina Guerrero, and I reside in Indian Trail here in Union County. I'm a proud Union County resident, a parent of 2 UCPS graduates, classes of 2018 and 2022, and an educator in the Union County Public Schools. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My family moved here in 2014 because of the schools. Both of my daughters received an exceptional education thanks to the dedication of UCPS teachers. My younger daughter joined the International Baccalaureate program at Marvin Ridge High School, an opportunity made possible through your support and funding. Programs like these are what make Union County such a strong district. As you know, UCPS was recently ranked #1 in EOG and EOC proficiency. That ranking makes Union County a place families want to call home, and it is all because of the hard work of our teachers. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to fully fund the $2,000 county supplement increase for teachers. This isn't just about pay, it's about showing Union County values the people who dedicate their lives to our children's success. For me, this increase would mean that I could better provide learning materials for students who come to school without them. I teach at a Title I school, and I often pay for supplies out of my own pocket. The supplement would ease that burden and ensure every child has what they need to learn. I also encourage you to use your positions to advocate for the funding of our schools at the state level. More than $600 million was allocated this year for private school vouchers. Yet here in Union County, our teachers received only half of the supplement increase that was requested. This contrast shows why we need our commissioners to stand up for public schools and advocate at the state level, so our educators and students aren't left behind while other programs receive full funding. When county leaders stand together in support of public education, it sends a powerful message that strengthens our schools and our community. By supporting the supplement increase and championing our schools beyond the county, you are investing in the future of our children, our families, and Union County itself. Thank you for your commitment to education.
The next speaker is Colleen McIntyre.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. My name is Colleen McIntyre, and my family and I have resided in Union County for the past 13 years. My husband and I are both employed in Union County, and our 2 children attend Union County Public Schools. I'm here this evening to request that you, like many others, the board take action to show your support of Union County Public School teachers and help us get the rest of the $2,000 that you originally offered to us. Commissioner Helms, Mr. Brian Matthews, the county manager, and myself met this past Thursday night to get some clarifying answers to some questions that most teachers still had after our Board of Education's meeting held on November 6th. Our plea to you, Mr. Helms, was that you and the Board of Education unify together to continue to show your support for your local teachers, the ones who have carried Union County to the #1 performing school district in the state. We are all aware that there has been a lot of finger-pointing back and forth between the 2 boards about why or how we did not receive the full $2,000 that was requested. In our meeting on Thursday, Mr. Helms, you stated that you do a lot of public speaking and debating in your career, and because of that, you know that if someone is trying to make a valid point and their only defense is to call the other party a liar, then that tells you they probably don't have a point to begin with. obviously referring to the Board of Education members. You repeatedly stated that the Board of Education could have spoken up and communicated with you regarding the funding and where the money went. You stated you wanted to fix the issue, but, and but is the key word here, you went on to continue to point fingers and say that UCPS needs to do a deep look into their financials and trim the fat to find the money necessary. To be frank, it does not matter whose fault it is. Both boards have continued to show us the same clear message, that we are not valued and that our public schools, the same public schools that ranked #1 statewide in student performance, are not valued. Teachers are frustrated that we didn't receive all of what we were told we were getting, and we can't understand why you, the source of the funds, aren't just as frustrated and demanding we get the full or close to the full amount of funds. A promise to find the money and make sure we are getting our deserved funds is all we are asking for. Alternatively, I suggested that you could do a budget amendment and perhaps use a contingency fund to offer UCPS teachers, at your discretion as to what it classifies as a classroom teacher, of course, a one-time bonus, which would be the ultimate show of support to your teachers for our hard work and dedication. Your response to this caught me off guard when you replied that it wouldn't be fair to Union County sheriffs, EMS, and firefighters, as the county also funds those entities, and you would have to grant them a bonus as well. Our #1 ranking is based on factual data, while their #1 ranking, you said, would be based on personal opinions. But even more important, and what I didn't know at the time, but I know now, is that the deputies have recently been given a 6% raise that they will see in their December checks. Can you please explain to these teachers how this demonstrates fair? Let me be clear. I know the deputies have a very important job in our county. I'm actually married to a law enforcement officer. I get it. But like you said, if we were given a bonus, they would need a bonus too. So couldn't it also be said, if they get a raise, we get a raise as well? Mr. Helms and all board members, I urge you to stop finger pointing, but instead come up with a plan and follow up with the Board of Education immediately to make this right. There is money between both boards that should be allocated to us to make this right, regardless of how you choose to do it. But please, we're begging you, come together, make a plan, and act on it to show your support of Union County Public School teachers, knowing we are worth it.
The next speaker is Pamela Carlton.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Carlton. I reside in Union County. I'm also a Union County Public School teacher. I guess I can't say it any better than what she said, so I'm not going to repeat everything that she said. My point of coming is that you guys are all elected officials, and so teachers, we have a voice as well. And so we are here asking you guys to back the Board of Education. It's time for you guys to come together and fund that additional $1,000 that we are asking for. They originally asked you guys for $14.6 million, I guess. You funded half of that. So we got the half of that budget. We got that half $1,000. So we're here to ask for that additional $1,000 in whatever way that you can make it happen. The Union County teachers are the ones who make this district #1. So we should be treated as such. Our instructional assistants as well, they deserve a raise. So somewhere or another, that's next coming. We need to advocate for them as well. And so our teachers are here. We're just here to support each other. And so we came to the Board of Ed. We asked them. They came through. We're here to ask you the same thing. Can you find it somewhere to fund that additional $1,000 for our teachers with the increase in health costs? That $1,000 that we just got is not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything for our budget or our households. There are teachers that couldn't be here tonight because they got to work second jobs or third jobs. The single mothers can't put food on their tables. So how can we go into a classroom every single day and give 100% when we got this to face? $1,000 is not that a lot of money. You guys should find it somewhere. We pay additional taxes on our houses. That has gone up. So that money is somewhere, and you guys have it. So let's see if we can make it happen for our teachers here in Union County. We shouldn't have to come here to beg. We shouldn't have to beg. We made this county number one. And we're here to stand up. We're here to fight. We're not hiding anymore. We're here to make a stand. And guess what? If 700 of us can do it, then all 2,800 teachers can do it. We have over 5,000 employees in this county. And we can come together and make a difference, regardless of what anybody's political affiliation is. And I don't know why that continues to be in education. It should not be. We are all people. We are all teachers. And it should not make a difference. If you are on a board for education, then guess what? You should be voting public education. Always. We should not be taking our money to fund vouchers and private schools. That's not what it's about. This is public education. That is where the money should go. So we are looking to you as our Board of County Commissioners to find it somewhere in your budget, or find it, make a amendment or whatever you need to do to fund that additional $1,000 for these teachers. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
The next speaker is Aaron Nussman. Aaron Nussman.
Hey, I'm Erin Nussman. I live in Matthews. I am in Union County side of it, though. I moved to Union County 13 years ago for the schools. Previously, I had worked in Union County, but when my children were about to come up, I wanted to make sure that they went to Union County schools as well. Through the years, our property values have gone up, as did our taxes, but we were here for the schools, right? We were here for our children's education. And as years go on, more and more people want to move to Union County for the schools, which is a great idea for people to do because we are the #1 county in the state of North Carolina. That's fabulous. But the Board of County Commissioners chose not to fully fund the school board's request. Now, I know we're talking a lot about the $2,000 that the teachers would like, and I mean, I would like mine as well. But what we really also need to know is what else you expected us to cut? What else was the board not supposed to fund because you didn't fully fund our school system? Okay? I wanted to know how often you have to do a book fair or sell candy bars or do a fun run to get your funding, because we have to do that all the time. Every year, year after year, just so we can do the extra things in our schools, so we can take care of our children, so our students can have the best advantages. How much of your money are you putting into your little job here? Because I'm putting in plenty of mine. I might make sure that they have crayons and they have markers. All of that is mine. Everything on the classroom walls, that is what these teachers are putting in there. So you telling us that we can't have that additional $1,000, all that money's probably going back into our school classrooms anyways. Because you don't give us the additional funds in the school, through the school system. We would like to have a little bit of compensation for what we are doing. We've heard a lot of back and forth between you and the Board of Education. And coming from an elementary school educator, I just got to say you sound a lot like the kids on the playground. He said this, she said that. Y'all need to grow up and take some responsibility for your actions. I also am going to ask that you guys take your voice to the state of North Carolina, because the state needs to help fund us as well. Thank you.
Kelly Senecal.
Board, nice to see you again. I reside in Waxhaw, North Carolina, and I just want to clarify what I said at the last meeting and reiterate that by not granting the full supplement, or the full funding, you indirectly showed you did not support the $2,000 teacher supplement. While you continue to say that you support education and our schools, your actions told a different story. You asked the Board of Ed whether they wanted to increase the tax rate. Since when does the Board of Ed make those kinds of financial decisions? Brian Helms, you contradicted yourself when you said you were not and never intended to raise the tax rate. So why did you ask in the first place? God's given you the authority and entrusted you with stewardship over public resources. Honesty and integrity matter. As Scripture reminds us, authority is a trust that must be used responsibly. Please come together with the Board of Ed, stand with parents, fund our schools properly, and advocate at the state level. The fact is, 37 other counties are doing a better job than you. Even the full 2,000 would have been insulting and insufficient. Our teachers deserve far more recognition and support than that. Our schools are operating with outdated materials, limited supplies, and not enough money for basic needs like copy paper or even garbage cans. I'm speaking from experience. Brian, you mentioned you have children in the schools. You entrust these teachers with your kids for 8 hours a day. Think of the kindergarten teacher who held your little one's hand as they walked in on the first day. Thank you, Ms. Burchard. The second grade teacher who wiped away your child's tears on the playground and used her own shirt as a tissue. I've seen it. It happens. Teachers who opened her snack bag and gave your child their apple because you forgot to pack snack. Thank you, Ms. Koch. The seventh grade teacher who arrived early so she could spend an extra 30 minutes helping your child finally understand exponents. Thank you, Ms. Ganchert. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 34, God rebukes the leaders who fail to care for their people. He says, woe to the shepherds of Israel who only take care of themselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? Those words remind us that authority is not about power. It's about responsibility. When God entrusts you with authority, he holds you accountable for how you use it. You've been entrusted by God and by the parents of this county to do what is right for our children. When you make decisions about funding, you're not approving numbers on a page. You are defining how we value those who nurture the hearts and minds of the next generation. These are the people that we're going to choose to take advantage of? The people that show up every day for our kids, who guide them, protect them, and believe in them? That's not right. The reality is, it does not sit right with my soul, and it shouldn't with any of yours. So please remember them and those moments the next time you consider Union County Public Schools budget requests. And know this, we'll continue to rally around our teachers and fiercely advocate for our children. Parents who entrusted you to do the right thing will remember your actions at the polls if you fail to stand up for schools. That includes advocating at the state level. Again, tell your friends at the assembly. Because if they don't do right by 84% of the parents in this state who support better public school funding, they won't be sitting in their seats much longer. So you all can't just claim to put children and education first. You need to put our money where your mouth is and prove it.
The next speaker is Jen Sanders.
Good evening. So, Jen Sanders, Waxhaw, Wesley Chapel border. So I will just start by saying that this should not be a surprise that this room is full of amazing educators that support our children. Reagan and I have been showing up for 37 meetings to the Board of Education. We haven't missed one since 2022. So and we've been in front of you guys. And what do we always say to you? Pay our teachers. I've been saying it for years. This was bound to happen eventually. So last meeting we were here, I had to step out, but I watched it driving home live. And you spent a lot of time belittling or educating, as you would say, how the budget breaks down for the schools and how much you bring and give to them. But understanding that UCPS is the largest employer in Union County, as I said. And so it's important to understand that you have to feed your own children. You have to take care of your own where you are. And it's not happening. And we have 2 current sitting, 1 missing. And by the way, my thoughts go out to Gary Sides and his family right now for what's happening. But we have 3 school board members here. Then you understand, and you're being called out, and you don't like it. And I understand. It feels very uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean that you have to step down. Or I know when this is over, you're going to use your public speaking time, and you're going to belittle us again, because that's what you do. We're asking you to take, instead of smiling about it, we're asking you to seriously take us and really pay attention to what they're saying. Because 700 walked out, but as I said, you could get 2,000 in a minute. And if you don't start taking care of your own people, they are not going to be here for you. They can go to Charlotte, they can go to South Carolina. And we have a state budget that has not passed, and you keep saying, well, the state budget, $950, they could live with that. That $1,000, by the way, is less than $20 a week. That's not even a tank of gas. That doesn't even pay for a McDonald's fast food meal that the teachers have to do because they're picking up their kids from soccer afterwards because they're grading papers. So again, you're running for state office. It's important that you actually advocate for public education. And $1 billion coming from state funding to go for vouchers could be paying our teachers. So I'm just going to leave it at that, but you've heard it from everyone here, and they won't stop coming. So please, when you speak to them in a little while, be respectful, because everybody's been pretty respectful to you guys considering how much you're gypping them.
Alexei Axelov. Alexei. AxoUov. Alexei. Okay. The next 3 items on our agenda are public hearings, 2 for rezoning and 1 for rural land use plan and land use map amendments. Before opening the first public hearing, I will read the rules that will apply to members of the public for each of these public hearings. Each speaker must address for the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by giving their name, stating whether they are residents of Union County, indicating the municipality within which they reside, if any. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make remarks, and a tone will sound at the conclusion of the remarks. A speaker may not yield his or her time to another speaker. Speakers should limit their remarks to the subject of the public hearing. Speakers may leave written comments and/or supporting documents, if any, with the clerk to the board. The first public hearing is item 25-685 for a rezoning petition CZ-2024-005 Seacrest. I will note that some versions of this agenda may have included a typo referring to this petition number as CZ 2025-005. However, for the record, the correct number is CZ 2024-005. I will now open the public hearing and recognize Bjorn Hansen, Senior Planner, for comments from county staff.
Good evening, Chair Merrill, members of the board, Manager Matthews. This is the Seacrest rezoning 2024-CZ005. Apologize about 2025. The fact that it's from 2024 means we've been working on this for quite a while. It was submitted approximately a year and a half ago. This is located in the northern part of the county, surrounded by Indian Trail along Seacrest Shortcut Road. The Monroe Expressway is just to the east of it. Yes, this is a request to rezone one parcel totaling approximately 12 acres from R20 to B4. This has 2 uses associated with it. The first one is for a driving school for personal vehicles, so think teenagers, not semi-trucks. And the other is for a flea market for a limited outdoor and indoor market that would be on a portion of the site. The flea market requires a special use permit, and they've submitted all the information associated with that. The key component of that is a real estate impact report, which was included in your packet. So there's a site plan associated with it. I will note that the applicant is here tonight, and they have proposed some revisions, which they'll get into and could affect the process associated with this. They have improvements to Seacrest Shortcut, which really are just restriping it. It already was a 3-lane road. They'll just restripe it for a turn lane into the entrance. They have a 5-year vesting of the development rights for it, and they can meet our development ordinance standards at the date of approval. This is the site plan. You can see Seacrest Shortcut. The access is just to the south of a large power line with the easement, so a lot of the parking is actually underneath that easement. Duke has allowed that to occur. There is some proposed outdoor kiosks for vendors, and the applicant will get into a revision to that. And then you have the building here, which is where the driving school and some additional indoor kiosk area would be, and then some additional outdoor ones to the south of that. And the remaining area in the back is all floodplain, and so it can't be used regardless. In terms of site conditions, again, you can see the power lines. To the east is the old entrance to Bonterra, which was split off by the Monroe Expressway. You can see the turn lane. It's already striped in there. We just have to be restriped. And then opposite in the distance, you can see the Monroe Expressway. In terms of development status, there's a subdivision to the north. Residents of that community have attended the community meeting and the land use board meeting associated with this. There's undeveloped property to the south, and then there's the strip of land between Seacrest Shortcut and the Monroe Expressway that's had varying development interests, but it all got processed by the town of Indian Trail. In terms of environmental features, again, you can see the floodplain and the stream. The new floodplain extent will change in the coming months as new standards are implemented, and they have accommodated those future extents into their site plan. They also have a stormwater detention basin that meets our standards, so they're addressing stormwater concerns. In terms of zoning, the gray area surrounding is all on Indian Trail, so we're not responsible for them. This property is actually zoned R20, so approximately 2 units per acre residential. In terms of transportation, Seacrest Shortcut carries approximately 9,000 vehicles per day, and there's no funded improvements in the immediate vicinity, but it is shown as a future boulevard, which means multi-lanes, and they have incorporated that into their site plan, so they're dedicating an additional 20 feet of right-of-way to the NCDOT if the road is ever widened in the future. Land use map. This is an island. If this were not residential, or I'm sorry, if this were not a commercial request, we would apply the transition zone designation to it, so we wouldn't support upzoning of it, but because it's an employment use, the employment corridor designation for US 74 is applied here, and the proposed use is consistent with that. Because this is a residential, I'm sorry, this is not a residential application, Union County Schools are not consulted, and public water and sewer are available to the site. Community meeting was held in late July. 11 residents attended, had multiple questions and concerns over buffering, business plan for the flea market, because they're aware of others that have been developed in the area in Union County and have gone out of business. The location of the driveway to their nearby neighborhood, and the fact that Seacrest Shortcut does flood during heavy rain events. I will note that the applicant has modified the site plan based on several of their concerns, and what they will propose during their comments and incorporate some additional concerns. We reached out to the nearby municipalities, and they each opposed it, citing traffic and land use concerns. And so we have a lot of text regarding the negatives and the positives. I always provide the pluses and the minuses for any application. And the negatives are that this is intended for distribution, logistics, aeronautics, industrial, agribusiness uses. There is some retail associated with it that's not necessarily intended for the employment corridor. There will be increased traffic, particularly on weekends, associated with it, and you do have commercial immediately adjacent to residential. However, the overall use is generally consistent with the employment corridor use. You have the school, and you do have the opportunity for people to operate small businesses in the area. The district allows flea markets with a special use permit, and they've met the requirements of that. It will increase business opportunities, and it can meet our development standards. So from a staff perspective, we recommended approval. The Land Use Board noted the flooding concerns and the proximity to the residential areas, and so they actually recommended denial at their meeting in October. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know the applicant and their engineer are here as well to provide additional information.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Helms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Bjorn, this is going to be a driving school and also a flea market, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? And the flea market would take place during the weekends?
There's no limitation on the hours that are proposed by them, but every time they've presented it, it's been for a weekend operation.
Okay. And if I understand this correctly, more than half of the property is currently in a floodplain, is that also?
At least.
Okay. So at least half, maybe more. Power lines are going to divide the usable portion of the property too.
That's correct.
As far as stormwater mitigation, what's the plan there?
So you have to show the location of a pond. You don't have to fully design it because if it gets turned down, that's wasted money. So we just make sure it can be shown. And so this area here is where the pond would be located.
Okay.
So it would be designed so that the, the site, the parking area in particular would drain to it, and then it would discharge to the floodplain, which
So
is
we're-
immediately behind it.
So essentially, we're looking at a retention pond, and what level of storm event are we talking about here with this?
2, 10, and 50-year storm, which was what this board recently increased, so it's a higher standard than what would have previously been required.
Okay. Thank you, Bjorn.
Any other questions? Commissioner Helms.
Bjorn, if you could go a couple of slides forward, please. Okay, so on this, where the proposed site is, and just from personal knowledge, the houses that are right up against it, they said that they're planning on extending or expanding that road? Is that correct?
Well, that's the long-range plan. It's not funded. So plenty of roads are shown on the comprehensive transportation plan as a future widened road, but there's no funding associated with it. So I don't think it's going to happen for decades.
Okay, and how many are we expecting if this is approved, to come to the site on a daily basis? Because Secret Shortcut heading into Hemby Bridge, and even at, I think that's Unionville Brief Road at the next intersection, that is really backed up. How many people are we expecting to travel into this site if it's approved?
Well, it depends on the day. During the week, a weekday, very few.
Well-
But on a weekend, more, and hopefully it's a successful one, so you'd have more traffic, but the traffic is generally less on a weekend than on a weekday.
No, I've been both times during the day, and it's awful. Yep. Any time of day. Okay, thank you, sir.
Commissioner Helms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one more question. And we did reach out to our municipal partners with this as well.
Yes, in Lake Park, Hemby Bridge, Indian Trail, they all opposed it.
Thank you, Bjorn.
Are there any other questions? We did not have any speakers from the public to sign up for this public hearing. I will now close the public hearing. The next public hearing on the agenda is item 25.
The applicant is here?
Oh,
Yes, and I think they'd like to speak.
would they like to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Carmen Milton. I'm the applicant for this property. This is the engineer that I brought with me as well. So I am proposing this property to be rezoned. I am passionate about people. I care about people. I don't live in this county, so that's why I held the meetings to actually get, honest feedback. I wasn't aware of the flooding. So anything that has been brought to our attention, we have already said we'll do whatever it takes to do things. For example, there was concerns about the entrance of the property being so northern on the property, so we moved it further down to the southern part to relieve some stress in that area. I have heard the traffic concerns. We're basically requesting just weekend usage only, just because of the traffic concerns. And again, I'm not sure how the traffic is out here on the weekends, so that's why, we requested that feedback. But we're willing to do what it takes to, make everyone happy, like as best as possible. I'm not trying to impede on anyone. I know people have purchased homes. They've tried their best, to keep their homes in the condition that they purchased it, and I totally respect that and I understand that. I'm just trying to do something for the community. I think it'll be an awesome opportunity. I worked at the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market for a couple of years, and I seen how the community came together. The vendors really enjoyed it. It was a great opportunity, and I can see Union County, with such a strong county that it is, just growing in that way, adding more jobs. Some of the people even at the community meeting who initially, they started out the meeting opposing it, by the end were like, hey, can I be a vendor? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I'm just that type of person that I'm not trying to harm anyone. I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone, but that's why I want the honest feedback. But I honestly just want to do something for the community. That's something that's been a passion of mine since I was a little girl, so.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the engineer gets to speak, which is not as eloquent and not as flowery, and I apologize to everybody, but thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to us. For the record, I live in Lake Park, so I'm well aware of this section of roadway. I completely agree. There is some traffic there, all right, and sometimes more, sometimes less. There's traffic all over the place, whether it's Secret, Shortcut, and all over the place. But anyway, and there is flooding occur. Bjorn will tell you that he tracks the flooding on this property or this roadway, how many times it's closed. And I believe he said in the last, I'm speaking for him, so take it with a grain of salt, but it's closed 5 times in the last 5 years or somewhere in there. So it does, property does flood. The roadway does not close that often. Personally, when it rains, I go the other way. I take 74 instead of this, just in case. We are not planning on increasing the flooding. Even though our property is on a property with floodplain, we are not working in the floodplain. We are doing just like any other development. We are providing stormwater treatment and attenuation, so we're handling that water. We are also willing to, we have the ability to on this property because we own this property. We own where that floodplain is. We can increase that storage. We can dig out in the floodplain, which helps out everybody. It'll decrease the flooding on the roadway. It will keep the water away from the residents. And one of their concerns is the water creeps up on that floodplain line to their houses. As a condition of this, we are more than willing to increase some of that floodplain storage. What I also want you to take into consideration when you're considering this is that there are developments on this property that we could do by right. We wouldn't have to come through the council. We wouldn't have to go to the land board. Staff could approve it. It's zoned R20, so residential, 20-acre lots roughly, but just like most other zoning areas, there are other uses besides residential that are allowed here, including churches, religious assemblies, schools. So what you see on the screen right here is a by right concept plan. This is what, if we can't get this approved the way we want, this is what somebody could come in and do. And because, like everything else, this property costs money, somebody's gonna have to make some money or at least not lose money on the property. And a church or a school in this would work. We're proposing 62 parking spaces. So equate that to how much traffic we're gonna have on the property. A by right concept plan, and we by no means maximize this site, would have 90 parking spaces. So we are 30% below that, what we could do by right. We're proposing our building is basically in the middle of the property on the south. We're proposing that away from the property line on the north, 257 feet. By right, it only requires a 12-foot setback. We're putting it 240 feet further away from the property line. We're trying to do that with everything. We're trying to keep those residents happy because they have spoken with us. They have expressed concerns about noise and trash and whatnot. We've adjusted our plan. We've moved a driveway, which we had on that property line at the north. We moved that to the middle so that they don't have traffic going by their backyards. As you see here, this is kind of I'm jumping around, but I don't want to take up all of your time here, like I tend to do. Plan comparison. I've got handouts, so I'll share that at the end of the meeting. But by right and the proposed plan, Parking spaces, like I said, by right 90, we're only proposing 62. Impervious areas, so hard surfaces that contribute to flooding and stormwater, by right over an acre, we're proposing less than an acre. And once again, those by rights, I didn't maximize it. I put down a plan that seemed to work and seemed reasonable and saw what the numbers were. Floodplains improvements, like I said, we're willing to dig out and improve the floodplain. That's going to be good for everybody. The buffers on that property, by right, all you need is a 10-foot buffer, a row of hedges, and a tree every 40 feet. That's it. We're proposing a 10-foot natural area. We're leaving natural, let the trees grow. 10-foot buffer, and we're increasing it. Instead of a tree every 40 feet, we're doing a tree every 30 feet. So we're listening to these neighbors, and we're improving on this. Building setback, I already touched on that. Parking setback, the nearest parking space is 152 feet away from that property line. Our concept by right plan, 24 feet. Natural buffers, we're providing a natural buffer of over almost an acre. Most of that is along the property line. By right, we could have a 50-foot tall building here. Now, a normal house probably isn't that, but if we're going to church or a school, there's that possibility. We're proposing a 20-foot. So there are concerns with traffic and flooding and noise, but we're doing the best that we can to minimize that. And the alternative we see is going to be similar or worse than what we're proposing. And what we didn't touch on is that just to make sure everybody's aware, the indoor market is open every day? Or is that?
It would just be the weekend.
Just still the weekend?
Just the weekend.
So it really is the weekend for the market and the driver's school during the day, during the week. One more touch, public improvements, 600 linear feet of sidewalk, about a half acre of right-of-way dedicated to DOT for roadway improvements and widening. We're going to put 11 street trees along that roadway. We're planning on increasing the FEMA flood zone storage, and we're providing a natural tree buffer. That's all I have.
That's all I have as well.
Do y'all have any questions, anything that we can help clarify this for you?
I've heard you use the term several times, digging out in the floodplain. Are you planning on building lakes, ponds, damming the water to stop the flow into the stream? What's your plan there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the FEMA flood zone, especially on this property, is basically grassland. It's pretty flat. There's not a lot of grade change in it. But essentially, the area in there, if we were just go in and take a scoop of dirt out and move that dirt into my backyard, so it's out of that floodplain, we've gained that scoop of dirt worth of volume. So all we're saying is we're going to take X amount of dirt out of the flood zone to somewhere outside of the flood zone, maybe use it on our property where we're developing to build our building up, build the parking up, and now we've got additional volume inside that flood zone. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but, I mean, are you talking about building a lake, or are you going to go out there and scoop out little craters in the floodplain?
We haven't committed to exactly how much dirt we're going to take out of there yet, right? So we haven't gotten that far. We're hoping that that's an incentive to help you approve this. But that dirt's good for us. If we're planning on building up our parking lot and our building a little bit, we need that dirt to come from somewhere. Might as well come from our property. It's cheaper for the contractor, cheaper for the developer and owner than to truck it in from somewhere else. So we're going to use that dirt as much as we can.
I'll back out.
Are there any more questions? Thank you both for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We did not have any speakers signed up for that public hearing. I will now close the public hearing. The next public hearing on our agenda is item 25-686 for rezoning petition RZ-2025-010 Haney. I will open the public hearing and again recognize Bjorn Hansen for comments from the county staff.
Evening again, Madam Chair, members of the Board, Manager Matthews. This is a straight rezoning, so there is no site plan, there are no conditions. There was no community meeting. It's called the Haney rezoning for the owner of the property who is here tonight to answer any questions you may have. This is located south of Monroe along 601. And it's a request to rezone from RA 40 to Highway Corridor. And there are many uses that are allowed in this zoning district. And since this is a straight rezoning, there are no conditions. The property is elevated from US 74. The property line is essentially where the fence is. And I'll get into the distinctions of the US 601 widening and how much land that took. And so it's a multi-lane corridor, generally undeveloped, large lot residential nearby. Now this aerial, I'm sorry, it's not an aerial, parcel map of the area shows that it goes approximately to the right-of-way or the edge of the road. And actually, it's more like half of that. This property had probably 50 feet taken when US 601 was widened 15 years ago. And for whatever reason, that revised parcel map was never recorded in the Register of Deeds. So what was submitted with their survey and what we actually have are two different things. So the amount of land that's left is only about a half an acre. And so this shows in the area it's large lot residential and agriculture nearby. In terms of environmental features, there's no streams or floodplains on the site. And this aerial actually shows it even better because the DOT's land is where the trees are. Where it's cleared behind there is the property that the applicant owns. So it's significantly less than what you might think. In terms of zoning, it's all RA 40 in the immediate vicinity. To the south, there's B4 zoning. You can see where the extent of Monroe's jurisdiction is to the north. In terms of transportation, US 601, approximately 12,000 vehicles per day. There is no funded road improvements in the immediate area. There's no need to dedicate additional right-of-way because US 601 is built out. In terms of the land use map, the employment corridor as an overlay applies over this. Underneath it is rural residential. In terms of schools and utilities, because this is commercial in nature, school system was not consulted, and water and sewer are not available to this site. In terms of public feedback and municipal feedback, we did not reach out to Monroe because it wasn't very close to their municipal limits, and a public meeting was not required. No one spoke at the land use board meeting last month, and we haven't received any comments since then. In terms of the negatives and positives, the negatives are that, again, you're adding additional potential development in a corridor, and so there's more traffic. And what's really important to us is that the small size of the parcel limits uses on the site. If this were a 2 or 3 acre parcel or larger, it'd be a very different analysis because there's a lot of potential uses. But when you subtract out the setbacks and whatnot and the fact there are no utilities, we had concerns about the precedent set for having small parcels rezoned to commercial and stripping out US 601. Thinking about that on existing 74 or even looking in Charlotte like South Boulevard, for example, it just becomes very dangerous with having so many frequent curb cuts and frankly unattractive. So those were negatives that we had identified. In terms of positives, the highway corridor is consistent with the land use plan, and the traffic impact's likely to be low because it's just not very large. But traffic congestion is a noted concern in the comprehensive plan. So from a staff perspective, because of the small size of the parcel and the lack of utilities, we recommended denial. The land use board recommended approval, citing the consistency with the land use map. And so the applicant is here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, are there any questions for Bjorn? No? Okay. If they are here, we'd love to hear from them.
Good evening. Mike Haney, I'm from Indian Trail. I feel a little unprepared after watching some of the people before me, but this used to be a 2 acre site with a home on it. When 601 was widened, of course, it took the home out and most of the front yard, so what's left is a half acre. It's zoned currently for RA 40, which means you need essentially an acre to construct anything on the property. So as it sits today, the property really isn't it's useless. You cannot build on it. So rezoning it for the highway corridor, which is consistent with the long-range plan, would allow some development there. The idea right now is to do a self-storage facility. It would be a small one, but it would allow the property to be usable. Like I said, as it sits today, you can't build on the property because of the size. Any questions?
Are there any questions? No. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being here. We did not have any speakers signed up for this public hearing, so I will now close the public hearing. The next item on our agenda is 25-692, a public hearing concerning the proposed Union County Rural Land Use Plan and Land Use Map amendments. I will open the public hearing and again recognize Bjorn Hansen for comments from staff and the Rural Land Use Plan Steering Committee.
I promise I will not have much to say. I'm going to introduce Alan Baucom, who's the chair of this committee, and turn the presentation over to him. But I want to say that this is a year's worth of work that we have done related to this process. We have several people related to the process here tonight, and based on the public hearing and any kind of adoption, we would then come back with implementation strategies in the coming months. But I want to thank Alan for his leadership and turn it over to him.
Wow. Good evening. Oh, good evening, commissioners. Good evening. How are y'all this evening? Good. So it is again my distinct pleasure and opportunity to come before you and present where we are with this rural land use plan. First off, I'd like to acknowledge the commissioners because y'all did a really great job in your appointments to this steering committee. Because each and every member of the committee has come to it from a different arena, different concerns, maybe even different passions, different timelines in the county, but they all came with a commitment, with a dedication, and with a passion to take and improve this county. So I applaud you guys for your wisdom, if I may, in making your appointments. Have some of the committee here tonight. Jamie Austin was vice chair, Daniel Crum, Mick Noel, I know Mick is here, and Nick Long, I don't know if Nick made it or not, he was planning to be, Jared Steele, and Laura Varela. And then we have the partners from Catawba Land Conservancy, Sean Bloom, Elisa Davis. Elisa is here with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, Alan Aldridge from the Union County Soil and Water Conservation District, and Andrew Baucom as our own county extension director, and then of course Bjorn Hansen, who's quite honestly been invaluable in moving this process forward. Whoop, go the right way. We've all seen this map before, but I'd like to present it because there's probably some people here and people looking that haven't seen it. The focus that this steering committee had is primarily in this green areas. And this is the rural areas of the county, the non-municipality areas of the county. And the purpose is to determine how we can take and preserve the rural character of this county. Role of this steering committee is to identify options and research these options, to solicit the public feedback on the options, and then make our recommendations to the Land Use Board and to the Board of County Commissioners. The role of the Land Use Board is stated here, but I want to thank that Land Use Board, the members of the Land Use Board, because they gave us really good feedback as well. And so it's all been synergistic in how this effort has progressed. The role of the Board of Commissioners then is thank you for your feedback again, but hopefully to approve the plan, and then more importantly, to implement the strategies. Our approved vision statement, I'm going to read this. In the rural areas of Union County, we cherish a way of life where farms and protected open spaces define our community. As stewards of the land, we treasure the balance between living close to nature and preserving our agricultural heritage. Expanses of productive farmland remind us daily of where our food comes from, and by adding options for property owners, lowering density, and enhancing environmental protection requirements, we preserve our natural resources and encourage public appreciation while ensuring agriculture thrives. This approach will sustain our rural character and provide a vibrant future for generations to come. And I'm going to take just a moment here to say that this Board of County Commissioners has a unique opportunity, one that you don't always get, to take to where your children, your grandchildren can make statements in their lifetime that my dad, my mother was a commissioner that implemented a program to where we can enjoy our open space. This is important. Our outreach with this committee has had 2 rounds of public engagement, vision and strategy development times. We've had social media postings, weekly newsletter, email to over 600 interested residents and municipalities, updates continuously on the county website, interviews on Wixie Radio. We've had over 400 responses from the public, presentation to municipal partners, and public steering committee meetings, which are always open to the public, and did have attendees from the public. What are strategies? Strategy is a policy or action designed to achieve a goal. The teeth of the plan. And one of the challenges, one of the responsibilities of the steering committee was to think through the strategies to avoid unintended consequences. Easy to identify what you want to accomplish and put a strategy to it. Oftentimes more difficult to take and identify the unintended consequence that could happen. And ideally, they're effective on their own and do not require other strategies to achieve the desired effects. Our recommended strategies we're bringing forward are expand the agricultural easement purchase program, and with this, protect 10% of all agricultural land by 2050. I think there's about 190,000 acres of agricultural land in the county. So 10% would be 19,000 acres, 2050. That's a long time. I'm of a personal opinion that we can't wait till 2050. We'll be too late. I think we've got a shorter window in which we can operate. Next strategy is add flexibility for commercial uses in rural areas. This allows low-impact commercial development, primarily service-type businesses, without rezoning. This would The recommendation is a 5-acre minimum with 4 acres for every 5 acres that would be protected from development. And this would require a unified development ordinance amendment. Then require contiguous areas for open space in major subdivisions. Require that this open space be concentrated with at least 60% contiguous with a focus on forests and streams. Another UDO would be required. And then to purchase priority land with a fee in lieu of open space for small developments. I'll use the word minor subdivisions, to where it's going to be a challenge to take and maintain the open space. That maybe that we felt like it would be better to let them pay to the Soil and Water Conservation District and use those monies to capture the open space somewhere else where it'd be more valuable. Express concerns over impacts from bypasses, particularly the ones from south of Waxhaw and Monroe. And this would be a policy for you guys. Limit major subdivisions in certain zoning districts. Require major subdivisions to have either access to water or sewer. And this would require a UDO again. Expand the rural areas in the land use map. There's 6 square miles immediately west of Monroe that we'd like to see go into this rural land use map. And then add 6 rural centers to the land use map. And this would just require a land use map amendment. On October 21st, we received the endorsement by the Soil and Water Conservation District Board. On the same date, the recommendation by the Land Use Board. And then on November the 6th, we have the endorsement by the Agricultural Advisory Board. And in fact, they wanted to see more restringent components placed on the residential development. And of course, tonight, the open hearing, or the public hearing, December the 8th is what we hope will be your adoption. And we have planned for the steering committee, we have calendared meetings going forward in November and December to take and move forward on to come with specific proposals to meet these strategies. We'll finalize in February, and then in March, finalize the development guide and make our presentation to the Land Use Board, February, March, and back to Board of County Commissioners in March, April. So we've stayed on task, we've stayed on point, we've stayed on time. And it's, quite honestly, it's been because of the commitment of the committee and the commitment of everyone involved. And questions?
First, I just want to thank you for your leadership and all of the individuals that have been working with you on this. I know it's taken a lot of time, a lot of thought, and we really appreciate it. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Mr. Baldwin.
Alan?
Yes, sir.
All right. The fourth strategy, where it says purchase priority land with fee in lieu for open space requirements.
Yes, sir.
Under description, allow smaller impacted subdivisions to avoid open space requirements by paying into agricultural easement program. How do we set that fee?
That's part of, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when. Y'all approve our presentation, our program here, then we'll take and bring back specific actions to implement. These will not be, y'all can do whatever you want to with them, but it would be determined, we'll put some values on it and some contingencies on it that actually determine what we think would work
Hubs or something.
to do this. And then, of course, you guys have the final say on it. But this was done, Commissioner Balcom, because they're small developments, and this could be 5 houses or whatever, that it would be a burden on them. And in fact, the open space requirement would be minimalized to such a level that it wouldn't have probably the desired impact for the county. And so the feeling of the committee was, let's take and put the option there, not an option, but a requirement, which is what we hope, to allow the developer to pay a fee. This fee goes into the program to purchase development rights that we already have in place, and then that can be used to take and actually make the program bigger, better, and be better utilized by the citizens of the county. Did that? If not, I'm going to call on Bjorn or any of the committee.
I think we're good for now.
Okay.
Alan. I think we're good for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Helms?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Alan, I got some comments, maybe a couple of questions, but, first of all, thank you. Thank you to the entire committee. Thank you to everybody involved in making this report and this plan. So I read over the entire report, and there was great information in there. Some of that, we've already talked about in previous meetings, and in regards to the conservation easement program. But for anybody that may not be aware, a couple of key statistics that were in your report, the committee's report, is number one, the growth in population in Union County, and obviously, you can look back over 20 years, and see the tremendous growth that we've had in the county during that time frame. One thing that the report notes is that over the last 25 years, we've grown in population by at least 5,000 people per year.
Per year.
Yeah, and that's a lot, obviously. And I think that we're experiencing the growing pains, as we speak. So obviously, this plan here would sort of refine our 2050 comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir.
For the rural parts of the county. And one thing that stood out to me in particular about minor residential developments is the report had essentially said that for these minor subdivisions only, that they accounted for approximately 1,000 homes since about 2020, to present day. Now, we pulled our numbers, and since about January 1 of 2023, we've seen about 159 residential units. And that's because, we've become a little bit more stringent, on rezonings.
Yes, sir.
But what that tells me is that from 2020 to about 2023, we had a lot of homes coming in under minor subdivision rules. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, and maybe staff can chime in too, but we currently define a minor subdivision, or I should say the threshold of where a minor becomes a major at 8 lots. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. All right. So a couple of other things is in regards to agriculture. So obviously there's a big emphasis on agriculture, and it should be, because agriculture is the fabric of our county. But it says that Union County is the 3rd most agriculturally productive county in North Carolina, with approximately $500 million in sales.
Yes, sir.
So
I was hoping you would. Hoping someone would say it, because I was going to have to.
Well, look, Mr. Balcom, there's lots of good stuff in this report. Okay,
That's right.
There really is, and so $500 million. I mean, that's impressive. It's impressive to me that Union County has grown that much, and yet agriculture remains that important to our county. And so with that in mind, though, growth remains our number one, in my opinion, our number one issue in the county. And with that also comes that key statistic that Union County ranks 13th nationally in open space laws. And, that was something that, as soon as this new board here was sworn in, something that we looked at in December, when we started looking at those resolutions against foreign entities and farmland. So, I mean, I don't want to speak for the board, but, generally speaking, this board has been very receptive, to plans that would preserve open space, because it's such an important issue for everybody in Union County. So, one thing that I liked, and this is on page 23 of the plan, I don't remember, let's see, it might be here on this slide, but it's talking about limiting the subdivisions in certain zoning districts. And so, as I understand it, that would essentially limit things like major subdivisions to areas where water and sewer utilities are currently present. Is that correct?
One or the other. That it would require a minimum of one,
Okay.
and that would require a UDO.
Okay. But, I mean, theoretically, though, this board could update the Unified Development Ordinance with the requirement for both. Is that correct, staff?
I'm not qualified to speak to that.
In theory, yes, obviously, we would want to, pass this up the legal flagpole, but yes, in theory, yes.
Sure.
Jordan, do we
But-
have? Oh, please. Oh, you're the man. So do we have the map of the?
I mean, we've got like everybody up here now, so Lee, come on up. Bjorn?
All right, so this is utility network map.
Yep.
And if you'd could overlay the green areas of that I spoke to on that opening map,
Mm-hmm.
it pretty much is where there's not utilities now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the committee felt like if we took and made a requirement for one or the other, that maybe it would meet the objective.
Sure.
And without being too great a challenge.
I understand. And listen, for the record, I don't disagree with the recommendation, but I think that we should look at both, okay? And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think that we should look at what this would look like with both utilities, so water and sewer, as well as the committee's recommendation, just to see what,
Sure.
What would happen, what the pros and the cons would be. I like a comment as well in the report, and this was, I think, covered on page 26. It said, subdivision of land is not a use. And that's, obviously something that this board has been contending with, as we look at different things that we can do either with subdivision ordinances or perhaps zoning, because obviously the North Carolina General Assembly is taking away the authority of this board as well as any local government or municipality to downzone.
Yes, sir.
And that was certainly a tool that we had in our toolbox that we no longer have. So I appreciate the committee bringing that to light. Let's see, as far as the funding sources, and this was mentioned, and really emphasized with the report, is the potential to apply for grants. So, I mean, obviously, grants are something that we've got staff, dedicated looking at. I mean, I'm sure that, and it seems like your committee identified at least some, but it's going to be a little difficult probably to get some of those grants. Is that correct?
It will be a work in progress, and I would say not easily identified or easily projected on availability of grants.
Mm-hmm.
And so going forward with that.
But, obviously, this would be used to fund the conservation easement.
Another, if you will, another tool to take and enhance the actions it would take to move forward. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and listen, I've been a big supporter of the conservation easement program because, I believe that is, one of the biggest things that we can do to try to preserve agricultural land to be agricultural land.
Right.
And so, ideally, I would like to, I'd like to see us fund more, for that. Just my personal opinion. Because again, this is our number one issue, and we have to start looking at prioritizing those issues. So I don't I'm a big supporter of the easement program, but at the same time, we still have to kind of live within our means, so I have to look at this
Without
come budget
question.
time.
And I'll just say, as County Manager Matthews said quite eloquently, and that's not a word often used with his speaking, but he said quite eloquently that if it goes to referendum, it gives the citizens an opportunity to put their money where their mouth is. I've yet to have a single person say that they object to what we're proposing. I've yet to have anyone say anything except growth is a challenge. Mm-hmm. Take it a little farther. Growth is a problem. And it's got to be managed. And if we don't manage it, we're going to be like Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, lots of people move here for schools. But granted also, lots of people move here because of the rural character. And if we don't preserve it, it will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll happen rapidly. We're already seeing it. What we thought, Clancy, on the east side of the county, I'll say 10 years ago, look at where it was 10 years ago, look at where it is now. And the picture has changed drastically. So we can't do it. The municipalities control a goodly portion of the county. But with this board, we have an opportunity to take and make changes that will be impactful for generations. And
I would just add to that, Mr. Balcom, and say that, everybody pays for growth.
yes, sir.
So
One way or the other.
One way or the other, and so it's paid for, through schools. It's paid for with things like a new jail that we've been discussing on this board for quite some time. Whether NCDOT wants to fund some road projects, the services that the county, funds, such as fire, EMS, deputies, all of these things.
Correct.
And then we're not even talking about water rates, so water and sewer rates, that are required to keep our utilities running. And
Right.
so growth affects every single one of us. I do think that one thing that was listed here as a strategy is requiring that 30% contiguous open space for
60.
I'm sorry, you said 60?
60% contiguous.
I thought it was 30% for major subdivisions.
So you're both correct.
Oh.
So there's a 30% open space requirement for developments in the rural part of the county. So that is correct. 60% of that 30% would have to be contiguous land.
Contiguous of that 30, 60% would be required to be contiguous.
Well, you could have sold me at 30%, total for contiguous, but, okay. All right. Well, bottom line, though, is I do agree with a lot of the strategies there. And again, I want to thank not only the Rural Land Use Committee, but also Soil and Water. So Soil and Water, our Land Use Board, again, everybody that was involved here because I do think that this was well worth the time and the effort, for you guys to do, and I think it's going to be a benefit to our county. If there's do my colleagues have any kind of questions there? Okay. All right.
Commissioner Helms.
Thank you, Mr. Balcom, for being here. On the recommended strategies on the first slide that you have, The bottom one says purchase priority land with fees in lieu of open space requirements. And by paying into the agricultural easement program, how is that avoiding the builder impact fees that are not allowed in North Carolina?
It's not an impact fee on the building, it's an offset to a required set-aside.
Okay. Okay.
Can I add just a little bit to
Yes,
that?
please.
A lot.
So, I was gonna get up at the end and kind of close this out, but, just for your awareness, at your next meeting, if you decide to approve some of these, all of them, whatever, mix and mash of strategies you approve, we won't bring these all back at once. We'll bring these back in phases. Some of them will come back relatively quickly. Like if you approve the 60% contiguous, that could be pretty quick. But some of them, like the one you're speaking of, that may take some time because there's likely to be some additional research that needs to go into it. We have looped in legal on some of these, or actually on all of these, but once we start crafting text amendment language, there's a feedback loop there, and there may be something that comes back to say, well, hold on, guys, we need to think about this a little more. There may be legislation that's required. So some of these may take a little additional time, and some of them may not come back at all. And if they don't, we'll tell you why. So.
I have one more question.
Don't leave me.
It says add 6 rural centers to land use map. Can you talk about what a small commercial center is at those 6 intersections and what that would look like?
Well, it's nothing elaborate. It's not strip malls or anything like that. It's more in line with what's already there in lots of the cases. It's just maybe a service station, a country store type, just a convenience service type or for the area.
Those actually existed on a previous plan. I think maybe the 2014 comprehensive plan. We had a lot of rural centers, and when we went through the 2050 process, to be honest with you, I don't remember exactly why we took them off, but we did. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but we revisited it with the rural land use plan and thought that it was a good idea to kind of put them back on. But a good example, especially up around, Clancy, up around your area, is kind of where Polk Mountain Store is, if you're familiar with that.
That was going to be my
Okay,
point,
yeah.
because at New Salem and Sugar and Wine, there's Polk Mountain and there's
Yeah.
Christus Corner. At
Right.
218 and Love Mill, there used to be a store right there.
Yep.
And Lawyers Road and Mill Grove, they're reconditioning a store at that intersection. So, that's already there.
Yeah, and
So,
And it's just taken, go ahead.
that's really what it is to kind of continue those small-scale retail sort of community gathering spots in those rural areas. That's really what it is.
okay.
Commissioner Helms, did you have something else?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Balcom, through looking at this, again, I like a lot of the strategies here, but there was one thing that really stuck out to me that we may also need to take a look at. And that is with the sheer number of homes that were developed around about 2020 through 2023 under minor subdivision rules, not going into the major subdivision category, but, just those minors.
Yes, sir.
What I would like to do is I'd like to make a motion to direct our staff to look at that threshold, the number of minimum lots required to classify subdivision a major subdivision, and bring us back some additional information about lowering that number. So from 8, for example, down to maybe the answer is 4, maybe the answer is 3, maybe the answer is 5. But I would like to make that motion to direct staff to do that, empower them to also consult with our land use board and potentially, soil and water if that would be applicable, and then bring us back some additional information so that this board can look at the pros and the cons of doing that.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Would you prefer for that to be brought at the same time that you would consider the strategies that are a part of this current plan, or would you want that to be at a separate time?
Yeah, I believe that it's probably more appropriate to bring that to us at the same time. That way, if we're making, subdivision ordinance changes, that I believe that would be more appropriate.
Point of clarification. My question on that, will staff have enough time? Because, and here's my concern on it, from the steering committee perspective, is that we're on a timeline.
Right.
And if you can approve part of it, it lets us be on a timeline to stay on that. And I'm not saying staff wouldn't have time, I just would be concerned that maybe they don't for a next 2-week meeting.
I think that we can certainly research the issue. The only issue I see there is we would not have time to take it to the planning board in order to bring it back on the 8th, because planning board meets tomorrow night. We wouldn't have time to research today.
I'm sure they can squeeze us in on the agenda.
What I would say you might could do is, I mean, you're the body that can adopt the plan. I think you could, I mean, it wouldn't be vetted through any public process, but I think you could certainly add a strategy. And that could be a strategy that could be added. Again, that wouldn't have been vetted through any of the boards or the public comments or anything like that, but I think you could certainly do that.
Well, in that case, maybe what we'll do is we'll do it separately then, and as you guys.
No worries. I think again, as Lee indicated before, whatever action the board does take, when you do take it, that is not the final action for this anyway. There are a number of steps you're going to have to go through for text changes or possible legislative changes for some of these things anyway. So by considering the plan on December the 8th, it's not really going to slow you down. It'll give them some time to do research, get the land use board involved, and bring that back to you likely in January. That's what I'm going to guess as we work towards January on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and Commissioner Helms, to that point, I think that might be the more appropriate path anyway, because I think that rule would apply to areas even outside of the rural part of Union County. So we wouldn't just be talking about the rural land use plan, we would be talking about, the single family areas and all of the unincorporated part of the county.
Okay. Well, then I'll amend that motion then to, let's just say, January, either the first or second meeting in January, is that?
Yeah, if I could jump in here, I think we're still in the middle of a public hearing on this. It's good discussion, good debate. Everybody's participating. That's great. It's good for democracy. But I think we got to finish up the public hearing part of it, and then we can move to motions.
Okay.
Well, in that case, I'll hold that motion until after the public hearing. How's that?
Okay, Commissioner Balcom? Yes.
All right, Alan, I love the strategies, appreciate the hard work, but there's one strategy I'm still a little bit unclear on, and it's express concern over impacts from bypasses. And in the description is express concern over development impacts from bypasses south of Waxhaw and Monroe.
Yes, sir.
Could you just expand on that just a little bit?
Well, it's part of DOT. And our concern was that these two bypasses go into areas that are rural now, that areas that are in the green space. And it will just accentuate the opportunities for development to occur.
Okay.
And when you start putting transportation there, then that And these bypasses serve no other purpose other than just for that short distance bypass.
Right.
And that was a concern. There's no funding for them, I don't think. Am I correct on it, Bjorn? And it's just that this would be a Board of Commissioners adoption, you know.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Helms?
Just a point of clarification. So Waxhaw was mentioned there, so the Waxhaw Parkway was one of the expressways or parkways that was mentioned.
Right.
And this board's already taken a stance against, certain plans.
Around the southern loop, the additional one that's not even in consideration now?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't aware of that.
Sure.
Committee wasn't aware. In other words, we were just looking at strategies that would take and not infringe on the green areas, on the rural areas of the county. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank y'all very much.
We did not have any speakers sign up for this public hearing. I will now close the public hearing. Next on the agenda.
Wait, I think Commissioner
Yep.
Holmes wants to.
Okay.
Mr. Kay, if it's now appropriate, then I'll make that motion. Yeah.
Why not?
All right. So again, I'll make that motion to direct staff to look at how many, or I should say, how major subdivisions are defined with minimum lot size, and bring that back to us perhaps January or February of 2026.
Any questions? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item 25-717, a proclamation remembering Charles Chick Richardson. Mr. Richardson was laid to rest last week. He was 102 years old, a World War II veteran, and he was a dear, sweet friend to Union County. And even at 102 years old, he enjoyed celebrating all of his birthdays, going to Panthers games, and wearing his number 100 jersey that you might see in some of the pictures. But Charles was very close. He and I were very close. I got to spend some time with him before he went to hospice and before he passed away. And he even got to visit the World War II museum and got to sign his name on one of the antique airplanes. And he was just an all-around wonderful human being. One of his favorite pastimes was singing every Sunday in the choir. And he had lots of friends there, but it was a beautiful ceremony last week. In World War II, he was a gunner on helicopters. There's a picture of him. And we just want to remember him with a Union County proclamation. A lot of his family lives out of state, and some live in Belmont. And but he was at the Stallings Hospital when I got to visit him a couple of weeks ago. And the proclamation before us tonight. I'm not going to read all of it, but whereas Charles Chick J. Richardson, born June 7th, 1923, answered the call of duty during one of the most pivotal conflicts in history, serving with distinction and courage in the United States Army Air Forces during World War II. Whereas Mr. Richardson served in the European Theater of Operations as a radio man and gunner on a B-17G and the 8th Air Force 390th Bomb Group with the 571st Squadron stationed in Framlingham, England. He took part in numerous high-risk missions and played a crucial role in the Allied efforts to secure victory. Through his commitment and bravery, he contributed to the liberation of Europe and the eventual Allied victory. He was an outstanding military service member marked by acts of extraordinary valor and numerous awards and accommodations. Among his many achievements, Mr. Richardson was awarded a certificate of recognition of his service and contributions to liberating France for his participation to the invasion of Normandy, signed by the French Secretary of Defense. These honors speak to his deep sacrifice and steadfastness, enduring experiences of terror, hardship, and forever marked his life, that of those who served beside him. Mr. Richardson's journey in the military including the locations he once served in Europe, witnessing transformation of places he helped liberate over 80 years prior. Following his military service, Mr. Richardson continued to honor his fellow service members and the memory of those who served by actively participating in the 390th Bomb Group Historical Society chapter in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he shared his experiences with future generations, ensuring that the lessons of courage, sacrifice, and resilience are never forgotten. Mr. Richardson's life and service embodied the highest ideals of loyalty, courage, and patriotism, serving as an example of the dedication and strength of our nation's servicemen and women. His story, his valor, his lifelong commitment to preserving the legacy of his fellow veterans are a testament to the profound impact that one individual can have in history and on the lives of countless others. Now, therefore, by the Union County Board of Commissioners, hereby proclaims heartfelt recognition and commendation of Charles Chick J. Richardson, his courage, heroism, and dedication to his country and comrades continue to inspire and remind us of all the sacrifices made in defense of freedom. It is with great respect and admiration that we honor and recognize Mr. Richardson today as a true American hero, adopted this day, the 17th day of November 2025. I cannot even begin to tell you how sweet this man was. He was so humble. He loved his country, and he loved talking to young people about his experience. And he was so inspiring to so many people. His son passed away before him, but he does have a daughter in Belmont that is extremely proud of her father, and she spoke last week at his funeral. And if this is so passed by this board, I would be happy to deliver this to her. Is there a motion to adopt the proclamation in support of this proclamation to Charles Chick J. Richardson?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proclamation remembering Charles Chick Richardson.
Thank you. Any comments? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. Very special man. I have been told by a fellow board member we need a break. So we are going to take like a 10-minute break or just less, and we will meet back here at 8 o'clock. Now it is time for consideration of any changes to the agenda. Are there any motions regarding requested revisions or amendments to either the consent agenda or business, which we do not have anything on business, unless you want to move something to business?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we approve the items on our consent agenda as published.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, I will turn it over to the county manager for comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Now it's time for commissioner comments. I will start with Commissioner Clancy Balcom.
Thank you, Melissa. Just want to say I appreciate all the work done by the staff, Soil and Water, the Ag Advisory Board, and appreciate all those who spoke, taking time to prepare, come out and speak, and encourage everyone to drive carefully on the way home and to have a great evening.
Commissioner Christina Helms.
I'd like to again recognize Mr. Richardson for his service, not only to this county, but to our nation, and how valuable his service was to us. And if you've ever heard someone from World War II speak, or any war for that matter, their experiences, it is incredibly humbling, and it makes you so proud to be in a nation where men and women are proud to serve us and to make sure that we are as free as we are. And I'll also, while we're talking about service members, last week was Veterans Day, and I was fortunate enough to spend just a little bit of time at the Salute to Veterans that the Sheriff Department puts on, and it's an amazing experience. And so all of those who are here tonight or listening tonight, if you have served in the military, I know it was Veterans Day, so previously, but those who are currently serving as well, please know how much this county and this nation appreciates you and all the hard work and dedication and sacrifices that you've made to protect us. I'd like to thank Mr. Balcom and the Land Use Board for all of their hard work to preserve rural Union County. Like Commissioner Brian Helms said earlier, Union County is 13th in the nation for loss of rural land, and how important it is that we preserve it. Once land is gone, you can never get it back. They're not making any more. And everybody needs a farmer to eat. So it is so vital that we have a service like our Land Use Board to come in and make sure that we are protecting us here in Union County. So I'm so appreciative to them. I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy and have a wonderful time with your family. We have so much to be thankful for. And if we look across this world of ours, we realize that there's so many things that we don't appreciate. Okay, that was completely unnecessary, but thank you. So,
They didn't even get a half-hour lunch. You needed 10 minutes before the 2-hour mark, and you're not going to say anything to these teachers? Attorney, do you have an
Order,
answer about if you
please.
can fund the schools mid-year?
Please.
Really?
Commissioner Helms, would you like to finish what your commissioner comment?
yes, I was wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that everyone has a safe, healthy, and wonderful Thanksgiving with their family, because we do have so much to be thankful for.
Yes, yes, we do. Brian Helms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, I'd like to thank our Board of Education members for coming out to our meeting this evening. I'd also like to thank all of our speakers. all of our speakers that took the time to come here, to engage in discussion regarding a very important topic that I know that, you all have a lot invested with. A couple of things I'd like to say in regards to some of the comments that we heard tonight is, first of all, the county does not do base pay for the teachers. Point of clarification is that the state, that's a function of the state funding. So the state determines the base pay for teachers. The other thing that I'll say is that, currently, we ranked 6th in total funding of all the districts here in North Carolina, overall funding. And this was discussed at our last board meeting, November 3rd. I would encourage, everyone here tonight to pick up one of those packets that were right outside the table, or go back and watch some of the discussion that we had at our last board meeting, where we had numbers, numbers with all of our sources there quoted. But just to tie a bow on that, we're 6th in total state funding out of 115 school districts. That's overall funding. Number 6. We are 113th out of 115 in state funding. So almost dead last. In federal funding, we are 115 out of 115. That is dead last. So if we're 6th in overall, and we are at the bottom in state and local, because we have, state and federal funding, because the schools get their funding from those 3 sources, then that tells me that local funding is not the issue. Now, I would also like to thank our Rural Land Use Committee, Mr. Balcom, for being here tonight to present the strategies. Obviously, open space conservation and conservation of agricultural land is something that's very important to all of us, is something that's very important to our county, and growth is our #1 issue. So, also like to thank the contribution of our soil and water folks, as well as our land use board in creating that. Last but not least, I'd also like to thank Chair Merrill for her service as our chair of this board. This board, over the last 4 years, has endured a lot. We lost a commissioner, and then we had another commissioner resign due to health reasons. We've endured, though, and Chair Merrill has certainly provided exemplary leadership, and I appreciate your service. Last, I'll say this: Happy Thanksgiving to all. I hope that you all have a very good holiday, and thank you for coming out. Please drive safe. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. I make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.